What's up, Bodyweight Warriors? Welcome back to another video. We're at the beach with the new star of the channel, Molly. Just having a whale of a time. Doing the usual morning routine sort of stuff. Also, as you maybe can't tell already, it's November. This is 11 days in now. But what I really want to talk about today is a continuation from the first episode of the yet to be named bulking series, because I've had some changes in the last week and some realizations, and just kind of want to chat to you a little bit as to the why, because it's always a meaning behind these things. You alright? Yeah. Should we go? So the main reason I'm actually here over this way is to have a meeting regarding to this, which is the flat I've kind of posted, shared here and there on this channel. It's finally finished. This is the living room. So the kitchen, we've got like all kind of new fitted. Got for the dark bottom layer, for the white top layer. Bedroom number 1. Again, lights up here. I actually made this backboard. It's just pieces of strip wood, and you can buy lights, but it looks quite cool. Bedroom number 2. To be honest, there's not much really happening in the bedrooms. It's just like nice new carpet, freshly painted. My favourite room. Hello. Got the bathroom. It just looks super nice. And then the toilet. It's a toilet. So yeah, pretty happy with how the toilet's turned out. It's definitely been a massive learning curve, but probably quite a difference between when we last spoke, or certainly on this video. It's been a lot of work, a lot of time, but a very rewarding process. Anyway, back to the normal stuff. I'm sticking to kind of the same as we mentioned last time. So last time I made that like tray of roasted veg. So this time I've only got potatoes, but I chucked on some leftover bolognese. So in here is about 400 grams-ish of mince, some bacon, some other bits and pieces. It's about 90 to 100 grams of protein, probably 120, 140 grams of carbs, plus fat from butter, bacon, and whatever is in meat. So it's good for the gains. I certainly realized after last week that I kind of just underestimated the amount that I'm gonna need to eat to make this like large change in weight over a short period of time. Like admittedly, if I was like considering a bulk personally, I would like to kind of maybe take a year to gain that weight. And the small change that I kind of mentioned in the first video, that would allow that to happen. It was a very minor adjustment in calories, and it would kind of lead to this steady increase in weight, whereas, no, that's my food. If I want to make this quick gain of the 3 kilos in about 10 weeks, then yeah, I'm gonna need to try harder. Also, these behind me, which you can kind of see, these are actually mushrooms that I picked the other day with some friends in the forest. Not magic mushrooms, not the fun kind. These are hedgehog mushrooms, so edible, very good for like risottos or just cooking in general. Trying to dry them out, you can keep them for months in a jar, but yeah, good fun way of reconnecting with nature. Make sure you go with somebody who knows what they're doing, because just picking any mushrooms that you see, not a great idea, unless you want things coming out of all ends for like 48 hours or dying. Always another likely outcome at eating random mushrooms. Right, so whilst Molly is busy destroying things, I wanted to kind of expand, and a lot of people asked this in the questions and the comments of the first episode, and I was like, what's my macronutrients when it comes to bulking? You just need to eat lots and more. If you're not gaining weight, eat more. The actual amount itself doesn't really matter. Depending on the person, some people need to eat drastically more calories to gain weight. Other people can modify it very, very slightly and see the same sort of weight gain. It seems to have a big individual variance. So if I go on a basic calorie calculator and put in my particular numbers, which is height 191 centimeters, weight 89 kilos, and age of 27, I get a roughly caloric maintenance of about 2,800 calories a day, which, to be honest with you, is probably about what I eat usually day to day. If I just leave myself to it, I eat around 2,800 calories a day. You all right there, mate? It's saying for me to gain between 0.25 and 0.5 kilograms a week. I need to eat between 3,100 and 3,300, which I would say, an extra 500 calories a day is a probably fair amount when it comes to a short-term bulk where we're trying to add some mass. So that's the kind of calorie front, but the calorie front doesn't really tell the whole story. You obviously need to consume those calories in one day. And as I mentioned in the first video, I tend to eat 2 meals a day purely out of simplicity. It just makes my life easier. If I'm eating more than 2 meals a day, I just find that I spend most of my day cooking, thinking about food, planning what I'm gonna eat. 2 meals is is the most I can plan to eat without just feeling all consumed by that being my sole focus. So this is my personal preference. It doesn't mean that it is necessarily optimal. So I'm gonna actually mention 2 studies, both of which are by Brad Schoenfeld. We've got one from 2018, which is discussing how much protein can the body use in a single meal, specifically for developing the maximum amount of lean muscle mass. And then the second study is a meta-analysis, again, by Bradley Schoenfeld in 2013, which is looking at the effects of protein timing on muscle strength and hypertrophy. So essentially the first one is probably the main one we're going to talk about. And the results of that was essentially the optimal amount was 4 meals per day, equally splitting that total protein intake, which we would look to be between 1.6 and 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. It does also mention here that the consumption of slower acting protein sources, particularly when consumed in combination with other macronutrients, i.e. carbohydrates and fat, specifically fats will slow down digestion, would delay absorption and thus conceivably enhance the utilization of the constituent amino acids. So arguably, you can eat more than that particular protein serving in a meal without detrimental effects. Essentially, the body's not dumb. There's not like a limit that you can consume in one meal that it's going to absorb. It will use everything as effectively as it can. The second study in regards to protein timing basically said that there was no significant impact on protein timing. The main thing, again, is that consistent protein feedings throughout the day. So if we're taking that number of protein, that would put me between 142 and 195 grams of protein per day, split over 4 meals. So, roughly 45 to 50 grams of protein per meal would be perfect. Now, I am personally doing 2 meals with 100 grams of protein per meal. So I'm still kind of fitting into that bracket, and I'm just splitting things up differently based on my own personal preference, which is kind of supported by the second meta-analysis, which basically said that in regards to hypertrophy, total protein intake for the day was the most important factor as opposed to protein timing. So finally, to kind of wrap that up in terms of what my day-to-day will roughly look like, because to be honest with you, it does about fit into these measurements. So we've got protein. I'm gonna go with the upper end of protein because I like eating meat. And plus, meat is a superfood. It's an incredibly bioavailable source of many minerals, vitamins, and obviously macronutrients. So I'm probably going to be at that maximum end of the protein spectrum, but that gives a lot of extra calories to play with. It's going to be about 25% of my daily calories will come from protein. I'll probably split the rest between fat and carbs. And for me personally, I prefer more fat, less carbohydrates. So I'll probably go with like a 45-35 split or a 40-35 split on the carbs, which would leave me with roughly 150 grams of fat and around 280 grams of carbohydrates a day. So if we're going to split that between meals, 100 grams of protein per meal, about 140 grams of carbs, and about 75 grams of fat, which to be honest with you, is pretty damn easy. And I'll probably have some extra carb sources, something sugary post-workout, or a dessert here or there as well, because I love dessert, you got to treat yourself. And that will generally have things covered quite easily. That should be a good rough guideline to then modify for your own personal requirements, because it's important that we take this down to the individual. This is what I found works for me, what I enjoy doing, and ultimately what I find easy to implement, because the perfect plan might be great, but if you really struggle to put that into practice, it's not going to be great. The thing that matters most is the thing that you can do effectively. It's been a fair amount of rambles. I need to now go and train. I'm going to train some legs. Train the legs again, doing some squats. Not so much body weight, particularly this one, but you got to use the best tools that you have available for your particular goals. So maybe there'll be some highlights of that, and then I'm going to share with you my evening meal as well.
Right, so I feel like we've covered the basics. How to calculate calories / macros depending on your personal preference, and then kind of training. Stick to the compound movements, lift heavy. You're probably going to be fine. That's going to be 90% if you want to gain mass. Obviously, sleeping well. Like, let's not overcomplicate things. That's kind of it. You need to eat more, be consistent with training, be patient. You will gain mass. Now, there is some nuance to it, and there's some more, I guess you could say fringe, but just like the icing on top of the cake, the small things that can make a significant impact on that. Now, this is going to involve around kind of improving testosterone production, especially when it comes to guys. And if there's one thing that is certain, testosterone supplements that are on the market are generally some of the least efficacious ones that you can buy. Don't waste your money, it's pointless. Basic things like improving your sleep, reducing your stress, because testosterone is also a steroid hormone, so if you're really, really stressed out, that's also gonna lower your testosterone. And then there are a couple of dietary and lifestyle interventions that you might consider. Number one is getting adequate zinc / some other small minerals. So I've got here some oysters, chatted about this in another video, and I don't wanna, do you mind? Excuse me, miss. Should you be doing? So as I was saying, zinc has been shown to help improve testosterone production. I have some oysters here, not to sound like a masturbator, but I don't really take any other supplements, and kind of what I've done is basically I have some oysters and some liver or other organ meats a couple of times a week. That seems to have everything covered. What? Alongside that, magnesium is quite a good one. Probably the only supplement I actually do take is magnesium. Obviously that can improve sleep quality, which also supports testosterone production, recovery, muscle growth, all of that sort of good stuff. Then if we start going progressively more kind of left field, we've got red light, which I've chatted about before in its relation to injury recovery, improvements in collagen production and things like that. But also there is some evidence that potentially red light can also increase testosterone production. Alternatively, go outside naked in the sun. Also a good option. By the way, the red light, it goes on your balls, for those of you who are wondering. I'm not sure there's an equivalent for women. I'm sure there is. But yeah, that's basically it for today's video. I'm just about to eat a Thai poached chicken, one of my favorite kind of winter recipes. It seems to be one that I always have as well with these vlog videos. I will stick the calories and kind of some shots of the final meal on the screen now so you can see roughly what it is. It's composed of basically rice, a chicken broth, some chicken that's been poached, and then some vegetables on top. And then of course, as you saw in the supermarket, I'm gonna have some dessert as well, because what is the good of bulking if you can't have some enjoyment and some pleasure and eat some kind of not great for you foods? Obviously, bulking itself isn't the most healthy of things, but ultimately calories is what matters, and we're gonna get some. As always, if you have any questions about this particular video or anything that was in this video, please do so in the comment section down below. And while you're there, also let me know if there's any requests you have in regards to this series, something you want me to cover or talk about. Yeah, I'd love to share that. Otherwise, you can hit that thumbs up button if you want to support the channel. Soon to be missing the dislike button. How ridiculous. Right next to it is the subscribe button if you want to join the Bodyweight Warrior tribe. Don't miss out on any more future videos. But until next time. Molly? Wait. What are you gonna say? You're gonna say bye. Bye bye.